The Arizona Cardinals continue to make moves to the 2024 roster. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the newest acquisitions for the squad. Let's get started. Everybody, welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content on this channel. We cover everything Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up, it's absolutely for free. Before we get started, we do got two new announcements. We actually are starting a fantasy football league with the ESPN app for channel members of the Arizona Sports Fan. If you're interested in joining, go ahead and send me an email to this email address. And on top of that, today, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. we will be going live on the NFC West Roundtable YouTube channel. Basically, every member of the NFC West joins together and has an hour show. We need the Bird Gang to show up, and we will be putting that link in the description below as well as the comments. Shoot a subscribe over there and make sure you show up in the chat. Let's talk about the brand new new acquisitions for the Arizona Cardinals that we ended up making official today. Now, the official Twitter /X Arizona Cardinals account ended up actually tweeting this, so it's official. Now, I actually heard this yesterday, and I kind of wanted to make sure that we wait for the official. Now, of course, you're not going to hear this news from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, because these are guys that are not really big names out there. But this is where I originally first heard that the Cardinals ended up signing, but also working out a lot of players, right? Now, huge shout out here to Aaron Wilson on X. He says this, #Cardinals worked out Daylen Baldwin, Jalen Camp, Chuck Filiga, Hassan Hall, Anthony McFarland, Chris Murray, and Wayne Ruby. Now, this ended up happening yesterday, which was this last Monday, and the Arizona Cardinals made it official after the workouts that they're actually bringing in Hassan Hall as well as Daylen Baldwin. Now, it is kind of a confusing signing if you ask me, right? We got two more additional offensive pieces with Daylen Baldwin being a wide receiver, and then you got Hassan Hall being a running back. Being the fact that I don't feel like the Arizona Cardinals are in big need of either of these two positions, it's a little kind of a head scratching, right? But we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive on both these players, and I'll kind of give you my spiel at the end of this all. Now, the Arizona Cardinals currently right now, if you look at over the cap or spot track, we are in line of having over $30 million in cap space. So that's another confusing part as to why we're signing players that, you know, are probably practice squad or depth guys. But like I said, we're going to be diving into that a little later on. Let's move on over to Daylen Baldwin first, and then we're going to be talking about Hassan Hall. Now, Daylen Baldwin has had some time with other teams. He spent some time with the Cleveland Browns, the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, and now the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cleveland Browns was the only team that he's actually made it onto the 53-man roster, or has actually made it on a regular game, compared to the Minnesota Vikings. He was on the practice squad. The Falcons, he was on the practice squad. And then the Arizona Cardinals, we don't exactly know how we're going to use him. Is he just going to be a camp body? Is he just going to be preseason guy? Are we going to make the 53-man roster, right? We don't 100% know exactly how he's going to work for the Cardinals. But when he was with the Cleveland Browns, he played one game, he had 2 receptions, 2 targets, and 25 yards, right? Now, a 24-year-old guy that's 6'2", 212 pounds, came out of Michigan, and I think he actually had a pretty respectable career with Michigan, but has not seemed to really had a fair opportunity, right? But I mean, even on this team for the Cardinals, right, I think we already can kind of say to ourselves that our wide receiving core right now is pretty solidified with Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and then Greg Dortch, and then Zay Jones, and then Chris Moore. We got a lot of intriguing pieces on this offense. So to add this player, I'm only thinking that we're probably going to be using them for preseason. If not, maybe just a real good depth piece for the Cardinals more than anything. But he's not had a lot of success in the NFL. Like I said, he has been with the Browns, but he only really played one game that had a total of 2 receptions and 25 yards, right? So not a needle mover. I'm just curious to figure out more than anything why these moves were made. But if this was going to be one of those things where they need people to play in those late snaps in preseason games, or maybe even that third game, okay, then I guess that makes sense. So that is Daylen Baldwin. And then we got another player here in Hassan Hall. Now, I've seen the joke out there. A lot of people are like, ooh, we got the wrong Hassan, right? Because there's some Cardinal fans out there that want the Arizona Cardinals to trade for Hassan Reddick. There was rumors and news that came out yesterday that he wants out of the Jets because of the contract negotiations. It's not really gone very far, and then you heard the Jets come out and say, yo, you're not going anywhere. Still try to negotiate this contract, and it's just a big mess right now with the whole Jets. And is he going to get traded? He probably is. To the Cardinals, probably not, but it's a big storyline obviously to talk about Hassan Reddick because he was a former Arizona Cardinal, right? But let's talk about Hassan Hall. This is another player that seems to have kind of been floating around of a lot of people's different, practice squads or just off-season rosters, right? He was with the Browns, with the Cardinals at one point in 2023, the Giants, the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Antonio Brahmas. I guess he made some time here in the UFL, and then now back with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a move because he's a running back, just specifically for the same reason that we brought, Daylen Baldwin in, because both of these two positions in wide receiver and running back, I don't feel like we really need any help there, right? Now, as of right now, where the depth chart stands for the Cardinals, James Conner being number 1, it seems like Amari DeMarcado is going to be the number 2. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he is going through an injury currently right now, so we might not see him for the remaining of the preseason. But obviously, Trey Benson, Michael Carter, DJ Dallas, Tony Jones Jr. So we got some people that are fighting for a 53-man roster spot, and to add a player like Hassan Hall is just, I guess it's intriguing, but I just don't know exactly what the play is here, right? Is this going to be another camp body? Is this going to be another guy that's just going to be used in preseason, right? Is it going to be a late cut? Maybe, right? Maybe. So these are the newest guys for the Arizona Cardinals, and Daylen Baldwin as well as Hassan Hall. Just like I always say, right? Welcome to the Bird Gang. Hopefully nothing but the best for you and your endeavors, and I hope you make a splash here in preseason or in the joint practice with the Colts and just kind of the remaining of the offseason before we get started here in the regular season. So, like I said earlier, this might be just kind of one of those moves because they needed to be made to have more bodies, probably, right? But let me kind of chime into the thought of why these moves confuse me, right? A little bit more in detail. With the exception of we don't need wide receiver and we don't need running back. Those being the big key factors. Another thing as to like what confuses me is that one of the biggest needs for the Arizona Cardinals is the outside linebacker, right? And BJ Ojulari going down is a big storyline that Cardinal fans are still to the day talking about. What are we going to do, right? What's Monty Austin-Fort going to do? What's he cooking up? Is he going to be bringing somebody like a Hassan Reddick, Matthew Judon? Are we going to get somebody in free agency like a Unique Ngakoue, right? We worked out Carl Lawson, but didn't bring him in. So there is just a lot of question marks around that whole outside linebacking position right now. Where it stands, it's Zaven Collins and Dennis Gardeck being the number 1 and number 2, right? We don't know how that's going to work and how that's going to translate into pressures and sacks. Now, we've seen some really good things here in preseason with rookie Xavier Thomas. I think he was the only one who actually tallied a sack in this last preseason game. So there's some Cardinal fans pretty excited about him. There's some Cardinal fans saying out there that we should probably use Mack Wilson Sr. as potential outside guy. And then there's some people out there saying maybe Darius Robinson can be used as an outside guy as well. So just a lot of kind of question marks and a lot of unknown. Being that the Cardinals have as much cap space as we have, I don't see a move like Hassan Reddick. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see a move like that. The Arizona Cardinals are in a much better position heading into the trade deadline than maybe I can see a move like a Matthew Judon, right? Maybe I can see a move like that. But before the season starts, I just don't see a big splash move like that. Monty Austin-Fort hasn't done anything like that before, right? It seems like he's completely 100% fine building through the draft and just kind of seeing the two different free agency classes. He's not looking to be spending big money out there. Now, do I agree with that? I mean, not 100%, but right now that seems to be the very most, I guess, interesting way that he's handling this team, right? Because you also got to think about, yes, we are technically in year 2 of Jonathan Gannon and year 2 of Monty Austin-Fort, but to me, I don't see this as continuing to be a full rebuild, right? Last year was a rebuild team, especially because Kyler Murray was down, but Kyler Murray is fully healthy this year. We need to support Kyler Murray in being our quarterback and making sure that we have a competitive team on both sides of the ball, because I don't know if you believe it, but there's a lot of people out there and a lot of national media are saying that this is going to be the year that Kyler Murray needs to, revive his career back, because there was a lot of question marks out there pertaining to, are the Cardinals going to be moving on to the quarterback position? But why not give him a competitive team on both sides of the ball, right? I'm confident in this offense, and I think he's confident in this offense as well, but there is a big focal point in terms of a big need in the outside linebacking role right now for this defense, and I'm just kind of curious as to why Monty Austin-Fort hasn't pulled the trigger and potentially bring in somebody in free agency that's only going to cost very minimal, especially if you're giving them a 1-year deal. That's not going to derail the rebuild. It's going to continue to have the Arizona Cardinals get into a better spot, because we need to improve from 4 wins, right? I want nothing less than 7, right? I want the Arizona Cardinals to win 8+ games this year, especially if Kyler Murray is healthy for the full year. So let me know what your guys' thoughts here are on this whole topic of, do you feel like the Cardinals need to make a move, or are you fine with the Cardinals just staying the course, continue to bring in these players that probably won't move the needle? Let me know here in the comments below. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cards.